When there's a crime, there's usually a victim. Snatch an old lady's purse, throw a rock through your neighbor's window, jack a car. The victim's obvious. We've been hearing about this Trump indictment for weeks. Last Thursday was official, and tomorrow the former president will have his mugshot snapped. There's been a lot of talk, but so far we haven't heard a peep about who the victim is. If Trump's the criminal Democrats are making him out to be, who got hurt? Primetime can't find a single victim here. It doesn't look like anybody was physically injured. Doesn't look like the IRS was cheated. Where's the crime? A lawyer paid a woman and a business reimbursed the lawyer? That's it? Then the company filed the payment as a legal expense and just threw it in the filing cabinet. But calling a payment to a lawyer a legal expense instead of a legal reimbursement is worse than murder here in New York. Never, ever put your payments in the wrong ledger. Bragg calls that falsifying business records, a misdemeanor. Since when did Democrats become sticklers for bookkeeping? By the way, what ledger did Hunter file his Chinese diamond under? You know, the diamond that went missing. The Bidens took millions from China before an election, lied about it, didn't pay taxes on it. That seems a little worse. The Trump Organization isn't even publicly traded, and no campaign funds were used. What was Trump supposed to do? Write a giant sweepstakes-sized check and hand it to Stormy in Times Square? Trump's a billionaire getting extorted by a porn actress. Of course you go through a lawyer. You think Bill Clinton settled with all those women without a lawyer? By the way, what ledger did Bill Clinton file his settlements under? All that hush money that Congress paid out, those weren't filed as campaign expenses. Now, if you want to see a crime, look at Alvin Bragg's office. How did CNN know what was inside the sealed indictment the night the story broke?
I am told by my sources that this is 34 counts of falsification of business records.
So Bragg's office leaked the indictment to CNN. Unlawful grand jury disclosure. That's a felony. There's actually more evidence that Bragg committed a felony than Trump did. So how's Trump even charged with a felony? Well, because Stormy got paid while Trump was running for president. Bragg's saying Trump should have called it a campaign expense. So Bragg's Frankensteining the misdemeanor into a campaign finance felony. But it had nothing to do with the campaign. Trump was shushing an extortionist to protect his family. He would have done that if he wasn't running for president, and probably had before. When you're rich, it's called a nuisance lawsuit. Go away. But since Democrats think everything's political, they can't imagine somebody doing something to protect their family. Everything always has to be about politics with them, because it is. That's why the last Manhattan DA never pulled the trigger.
Why didn't you charge the hush money case? Why didn't you ever charge it in 2018, 2019, 2020?
Well, Chuck, I don't want to get into the deliberations that might be covered by grand jury material, but as I believe you know, I was asked by the U.S. Attorney's Office in the Southern District to stand down on our investigation.
But Fat Alvin wants to throw Trump in prison for 4 years over paperwork. But you firebomb a cop car and Alvin Bragg gives you time served. In New York City, Black Lives Matter riders, they got paid because cops were mean to them after they looted. In 2008, Wall Street bankers got bailed out, and then they got bonuses for crashing the economy. Who'd the Manhattan DA lock up? Billions of taxpayer dollars went missing in Afghanistan. Who's looking into that bookkeeping? Big Pharma breaks the law, cooks the books. No one's indicted. They pay a fine, they walk away. Bankers help cartels launder drug money. Anybody indicted? No, just a fine.
HSBC, one of the largest banks in the world, agreed to pay nearly $2 billion to settle a money laundering case. Banking giant helped Mexican drug cartels move money through the U.S. financial system. And as part of the settlement, HSBC admits it allowed prohibited transactions with Iran, Libya, and other nations under U.S. sanctions. But the U.S. stopped short of charging HSBC executives with any crime, citing the bank's full cooperation.
Trump doesn't get the option to pay a fine. Clinton paid a fine. Obama paid a fine. Trump gets fingerprinted. Why? Because they're terrified of him. Criminalizing Trump's always been the plan. Rush Limbaugh saw it years ago.
I know they desperately want Trump gone, and I know that they desperately want it codified, that Trump cannot run again, because make no mistake, they remain scared to death of you, and they remain scared to death of Trump.
They're terrified of Trump because his movement's a wrecking ball. In 2016, Trump destroyed two political dynasties, Bush in the primary, Clinton in the general. He told the truth about the Iraq War and the Clinton Foundation. Trump started a trade war with big tech's cash register, China. It's always been about the money. Trump wants the border secured. That stops the cheap labor that keeps big businesses' costs down. Trump fired the FBI director and then exposed the special counsel as a shaky has-been. Think about this. Trump stopped sending Ukraine weapons for a month, and he got impeached. Trump fingered the Biden family corruption in Ukraine and got impeached. Biden's CIA attaché blew the whistle on the phone call. Now Trump says he'll end the war in Ukraine, and he gets indicted a week after. You don't mess around with defense contractors' money. Contractors run the country. Now, the reason Trump's such a threat is they can't control him, and the country destroys what it can't control. The last president, and probably the next president, could be thrown in prison by a New York Democrat. But Trump's not the victim. It's MSNBC pundits that are in danger. Listen.
If the mayor has to come on TV with his police commissioner and address the supporters of Donald Trump, whether they gave him money or not, that means that my life and the life of the people that I care about are in danger. For me, this is actually the most dangerous time.
They're about to arrest a former president, and this guy's the victim. Throwing Biden's political opponent in jail is dangerous for a guy on MSNBC. That's how they're framing this case. They aren't speculating whether arresting their political opponent's bad. They're speculating how their political opponent will react if arrested. It's like walking up to somebody on the street, knocking them unconscious, and then worrying what they'll do when they wake up. Ignore the injustice, just scare everyone over the reaction to the injustice.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.